CTO School, thank you very much for having me. My name is Jack Mason, and today I will talk to you a bit about how we've created and continue to create a great culture at E.P.H.O.X, my place of work and my home away from home. Feel free to ask any questions as I go along. If you're lucky, I'll be able to answer them. And if I'm lucky, does clicker will work? Alrighty. So a brief bit about myself. I joined E.P.H.O.X back in 2005. If you do the quick math, that makes me a 12-year veteran. Once was a baby of the company, junior programmer, now a crusty old product manager. Actually, on the day that I interviewed for E.P.H.O.X, I'd interviewed beforehand at 2 big corporate offices, suits in the works, and I really thought if I'd done the right thing in IT. Then turned up to a basement in Paddington, surrounded by a handful of grads punching out code, and it was laid back, they were all friendly, and I thought this is going to be a cool place to learn, and it's been great to me ever since. So, as you may have guessed, at E.P.H.O.X, our business is making rich text editors. So our flagship rich text editor, TinyMCE, can be seen in applications such as WordPress, and it actually is responsible for 40% of the content that you see on websites, which is mind-blowing. Every day we start to see the figures coming through and we dig into the data more. It's both exciting and scary. So a little bit about E.P.H.O.X over the years. So in 1999, 7 proud Ephoxians assembled in Milton to start making rich text editors. It was a combination of a few salespeople, a few devs, and a few founders. So if we skip over to 2002, the CEO went all the way over to the States to start a branch over there, found a head of sales, and sales happened, and the company grew bigger and better. In 2009, we got our first big 7-figure OEM deal, and things blossomed even further, with big sales and marketing teams growing in the States, and then more and more devs jumping on in Australia. And in 2015, we had a hallmark event in the merger with MoxiCode, creators of TinyMCE. Now that we have developers in Sweden, we have teams in America, and we have teams in Australia. So being globally distributed across 3 countries is incredibly rewarding, but challenging too. So why I'm here today? Why should you care about creating a great culture, especially culture that you try to broaden over 3 different continents? Why should you give a shit about trying to get unabashed forms of love and devotion like this propagating through your company? Well, unless you're a sociopath, it's just a nice thing to have a good place to work at. But beyond the sociopathy, I think I can teach you there's some good things about having a nice working environment and a great culture. So our culture is quite organic, it's not very planned. People came and various traditions stuck, and that's where we're at. So Chris asked me a few months ago if I'd be kind enough to teach here at the CTO School meetup, and I thought, well, shit, I can talk about that we work hard, we play hard, thanks for the free beer and pizza, I'm out. But the more we looked into it though, the more we retrospectively tried to work out what does make our culture great? How did we get here? I found that there were 5 real core values that kept popping up all the time. Ironically enough, or I just jammed them in, they fit in with each letter of our company now. So number 1 would be build excellent things in excellent ways. We all yearn to be part of something bigger and greater than ourselves, to look upon our creations and with our hearts swollen with pride. So basically you want to make sure that people are really invested and happy with these cool things that they're building, but not just the things, the process too. How things are built is incredibly important to make a great culture. So at E.P.H.O.X, we are not strangers to meetups either. We have a WordPress meetup that occurs every 2nd Thursday of the month. It's a really diverse and eclectic crowd. Anyone here is welcome to come anytime. And considering that WordPress is such an important part of our business, we think it's not only important just to give back to that community, but we also like to get that community involved in our stuff too. We think it's a wonderful feedback loop to run the WordPress people through ideas we have, products and end user testing, and basically get that grounding to make sure that we're building the right things for the right people. We find too that getting volunteers at these events is great. It kind of creates this real happy environment where people are putting their hands up and super excited to test out new stuff that doesn't exist yet in their WordPress instance. And that just kind of creates this happy atmosphere too. So the give and take attitude of E.P.H.O.X is something that we think really helps put soul into our features. So looking more internally rather than externally as well, we take the same approach with things that we build at E.P.H.O.X, trying to make sure that we're getting all the different perspectives of the people across our company in different countries, in office, but trying to see what do you think, how do you think this could work, but even involving people in clever ways too, just so they feel like even if they don't have something to say, they've got investment in the product. Here's a real quick little example of something that Anna, our UX guru, put together. So essentially what this is a video for a theme builder for our editor that we put together. A real simple way where people can specify various different colors, and then they'll be shown within the editor so it can better match their content management system. So on paper, it seems like a pretty simple project, but Anna made it interesting, and I'll talk to why this ended up being quite magic. So you can see here in the top left-hand corner their names, which will become very important. So we got things like Gravity, we had TARDIS, Duck, Vanderhoff, Citizens on Patrol. So what Anna did was, to try to get people involved in this project, all she did was just go up to people, through emails, through face-to-face in our office, and just say, what are you into? What things are you interested in, right? And she got back eclectic, answers. Well, gee, I'm into soy lattes, or I'm into Doctor Who, or I'm into ducks. And so she basically made colour palettes for just different things that people are interested in. And then when she would demo, she would choose different colour palettes and she would show people this video. And then people were like, oh, that's me, like that's my one in there. I'm Duck, right? Or I'm the Doctor Who TARDIS. And that's so simple and small, but then for this simple project, people really rallied behind it. People got really keen and excited for it. So we take that similar approach with things, in general. We try to bring people in and get people excited, no matter whether it's a big or small feature. At the moment, we're testing out the mobile capabilities. We're building into TinyMCE, and so we've been doing user testing across the company to see what people think. And those ideas roll back into the product, and it becomes stronger, and everyone gets more invested in it, regardless of whether it's a project on their map at all. It helps us create exciting products that have maximum investment. Oh no, that's right. Click R. Okay. So it's not all about the shiny stuff. So in talking before, process is really important too. Excellent process for excellent products. So at E.P.H.O.X, like most companies, we do have a lot of meetings. We've got big desks and even bigger whiteboards. But I think that meetings can get a bad rap. And I know people say that and they'd have boring meetings. But what we try to do at E.P.H.O.X is make sure that we're doing meetings that make a shitload of sense and are different and get a lot of feedback and serve a very specific purpose. So an example of what we do at E.P.H.O.X is, does anyone here know what a post-mortem is? Show of hands is cool, or you can just yell out at me. Alrighty, so some don't, so I'll go into a little bit. So after a project, and I guess any project, it's not just software development, there's the retrospective. You look back and you say, okay, what worked, what didn't work, what traditions are we going to make sure that we strive to do in other projects, and then what are we going to look back on and say, well, that actually didn't work at all, he was a huge fault, let's fix that or just never do it again. So at E.P.H.O.X what we do is we do a reversal of that. We do a pre-mortem. We basically celebrate the death of the project that doesn't exist. So this is an example here of a whiteboard through the kind of mind map and process we went through for our upcoming data and analytics project, where we're trying to get all these, God knows how many people using the editor, and then start to identify who they are and how they're operating and get that useful feedback. And it's a big start for our company. We haven't been data driven and we're shifting to becoming data driven. So as the first project to start to jump into this foray, a lot could go wrong. So we got all the different people involved in the project, and we sat down in a comfortable and safe environment. We said, how could this fuck up? And everyone's opinion's cool. It's a safe place, talk about whatever you want. And so we listed all of these issues, and now when we go into the project, we've avoided groupthink, we've let people share their ideas, and then we've built mitigation strategies to make sure that the project's going to have a safer chance of surviving. So that's a good meeting. We try to do good meetings, have good process at E.P.H.O.X. But not everything can always succeed. Failures are going to happen, and you should expect failures, right? But what you should do is expect and plan for them and nurture an environment where you see failures, you learn from them quickly, and you notify people about them. So many in the software industry may notice, well, not the freaked out Elmo on the side, but to the right here, a build system. So from the very early days at E.P.H.O.X, at least my involvement, and I'll touch on this a bit later, got involved in making sure that we've got continuous testing. But our continuous testing process is, it's got fun things built into it too. It's like something that people strive and engage around. So we've used experimental technologies just to build something simple like the scoreboard. We used to have funny and engaging sounds. When builds broke, there would be the sound of shattering glass, or for a while we had Help by the Beatles play, and now every time we hear that song we get freaked out and palpitated in the shopping mall. But also too, what we're moving towards, and we're not at the utopian state yet, is making sure that this feedback propagates easily across all the different project teams in the different countries. So if you're in Sweden, you'll understand something broke if it's downstream to your project, and you'll be able to adopt and understand. So that's the direction we're moving in, and that's culture that we've really built around making sure that we get that feedback around when shit can hit the fan. So now we move on to P, get people talking. Communication is critical, regardless of the medium. So if you're sitting in front of a computer all day, it's very, very easy to get isolated and believe that people understand what you're working on, where things are going, just essentially what's even happening just in the office, just for fun. So communication we've found is very, very important, because not only is it important to understand your colleagues, their interests, their values, their experiences, but it just helps you ensure that you're building bigger and better dreams by getting everyone talking. So being a globally distributed company, I'd never thought I'd have to know what time it would be in Sweden at 8 AM in Australia, or as the Swedes call it, IKEA time. So it turns out that At 8 AM in Australia, it's midnight IKEA time, which kind of sucks. But that's all good because it comes back around at about 4 PM when it's there 8 AM. But of course, that's 11 PM in the States, which is tough. It's easy to feel isolated. It's easy to feel alone when everyone's spread across the globe, and how do you reach out to someone? So here at E.P.H.O.X, how do we make sure that we can communicate and collaborate effectively with our fellow Ephoxians? Look, the simple answer is the best answer. Get butts on a plane, and everything attached to the butt. So face-to-face communication is great. It's the primary for a lot of people. Some people don't like it, but a lot of people do. Face-to-face communication has a lot of benefits over written. So naturally, if you try to show a little bit of emotional context in written, it can be misinterpreted, like sarcasm is the worst in the written form. And phone conversations are good too, but you still don't have quite that connection with someone. So seeing someone face-to-face, you get that kind of feedback where you explain an idea to someone. And when you look them right in the eyes, you know if they think you're crazy, or you know if they really love your idea. What we found is, with a little bit of inquisitiveness, that seeing these people face-to-face, it really helps you better understand how they tick, what their values are, how they operate. So then when you do contact them in the digital realm, you've got that grounding. You've got that ability to know who they are far better. And it could just be even a simple meetup. You know, in the space of just like an hour-long conversation with someone, that memory sticks and that knowledge sticks and that contact sticks. So then when you talk to them later on, you know, you've got that shared value. You've got that connection. And that we found is really, really important. Plus, when the company wants to send you overseas to a foreign country when they're done, that's pretty cool too. But unfortunately, we're not made of money, right? I mean, shit, we can't be getting people on planes every goddamn day. So it's also disruptive to get people on planes as well all the time. It takes them away from loved ones, and trust me, if you get sent to Sweden in the middle of their winter when it's minus 30 degrees, you're going to want to bail on your company pretty quick. So there's got to be a more comfortable and more convenient way of effectively collaborating with the people across your team without having to jump on jets all the time, right? He's right. He is right. Does anyone here know what Slack is? Put up your hands if you know what Slack is. Oh man, you're all masters, right? Does anyone not know what Slack is? Shit, I can just skip through this whole thing. Look, Slack is beautiful. I'll give this spiel because I'm excited about it. So essentially what we find with Slack is that this core messaging system, even though it's basically just a messaging system, the way everything is tied together is so beautiful that we live for it. It's such a powerful thing for us. We find that like the emoji support, the media embedding support, something that was completely unknown and unintended, is it causes people to really bring out their personalities beautifully online, especially at E.P.H.O.X. We find people use it as this medium when you're so globally distributed to really show who they are, and that's beautiful. Like people are sharing themselves through what essentially seems like a bunch of sort of dumb little, YouTube embeds and emojis, but there's like amazing amounts of depth to it. What we found too that was totally unintended was, some of you may be surprised to know this, but some software developers are quite shy. So in our office, there may be some people who don't talk a lot, but still contribute and do great things, but then on Slack, they're the biggest smartasses in the company. They have this vessel now in this way where they can communicate who they are and they can shine, through Slack. And we've seen people just really share so much of themselves through Slack. Look at, here's a good example too. We found that it's really good for highlighting events. Traditionally, when some kind of great thing would happen, it can get lost in the noise of your inbox, right? There's an email about the dishwasher not working, you're getting all these goddamn messages from our build system telling you that Brisbane's just stuffed up and something else up. But when something happens in a moment, we're all tapped into it. So this is an example of our CEO being at an IBM event where on a big stage filled with, in front of thousands and thousands of people, one of our editors appeared and they talked about everything he could do and everyone got massively excited. Then the person right near our CEO pulled out his iPad and took a photo, but was taking a photo with our editor and then live blog posted it with our technology. So that was like wild, right? That feedback loop all happened in a moment. We all got to see that beautiful thing happen. And it was crazy, right? And Slack helps you see those things. It's kind of cool. It helps a marvelous focus on its own. So get Slack, use Slack, it's good stuff. So look, it's true, we do live through Slack at E.P.H.O.X. It helps cut through those geographical problems. And what it does really at its core is it changes the nature of your communication from asynchronous to rapid fire synchronous, which is a godsend. But it's not all about the unknown synchronous communication. Anonymous asynchronous communication also has a very important place in the world. So given the general acceptance of bad security online these days, it's been said that one of the last social and political forms of anonymous communication and commentary is graffiti. This is a bad example because this is Banksy from 2004 in Maple Arch, London, so it's not anonymous at all. But the point still stands that graffiti is a great way to communicate things without people knowing who you are. So at E.P.H.O.X, what we did was we painted a huge goddamn wall with magnetic blackboard paint. We made this big whiteboard. So at first it just seemed like a fun way for people to play and share jokes and kind of say silly things. But underneath it too, people do ask these really serious work questions, and they pose ideas, and they kind of bring these things to the light, and no one knows who did it. Like, and often you can tell someone's handwriting, but a lot of times you can't, and people ask great questions through this thing, and that anonymous nature of allowing people to be safe, to express opinions is actually really, really powerful. Plus it was a really, really good team building exercise for us to scrub all that magnetic paint off our hands. If you've ever used magnetic paint before, we can share a beer over it, it's horrible. So number H would be to help each other improve. So both professionally and personally, we're all growing. So we want to help others improve at E.P.H.O.X, not just because we care about our co-workers, but because the teacher learns and the student teaches. It reinforces people just to be better. So one of the reasons why I actually did this talk, and why I guess Chris was crazy enough to ask me, was because we were talking about, I guess, giving, right? Giving back to talks. And I've taken a lot from talks in Brisbane, and I've never given back. So hopefully, I'm giving now, hopefully. So at E.P.H.O.X, we've got a lot of functional programming evangelists. We've got Ben and George here, our heroes of Haskell, and they've been incredibly good for our team to learn functional programming, to understand to be better, and break out of your shell, try new things, and essentially, it's very core, build more maintainable and more reliable software. And just seeing them huddled around, whiteboards, and sharing what they've learned is beautiful. Like in those knowledge sessions they have, and then seeing the code get better. I remember back in the day that we used to just die for writing tests and just thought it was this big overhead. And with functional programming, I just keep hearing about see how that launched seamlessly? It's because it's all built in. See how this worked, Jack? It's all built in. And I finally started listening. They're right. It's glorious. We also do something called a lunch and learn at E.P.H.O.X, where if someone has learned something cool, they have the ability just to get up in front of everyone at a predefined time. E.P.H.O.X will flip for lunch, and then they'll just teach what they've learned. Everyone gets a free meal while they just say, here's some cool stuff. That's been incredibly beneficial to us, and having that environment where everyone is incentivized to learn and incentivized to teach. So Anna Harrison, our UX magician, is our master of teaching people how to present and how to get better at communicating your ideas. Anna can't be here tonight because she's at the local host deployment conference. Then in the next few weeks she'll be at WordCamp over in Europe, then God knows what after that. But Anna has been wonderful for ensuring that I can do this talk tonight and make sure that I can teach all of this to you. So one advice I would give to have a great culture would be get an Anna Harrison. And if you can't get an Anna Harrison, reach out to Anna Harrison for a coffee. She's always dying to drink one and she can teach you fantastic things. It's a bloody good culture to have where everyone wants to teach. So leveraging the wisdom of the people that you bring into your company is really big as well. Learning within company, but getting the masters in there and making sure that you do the fantastic stuff. So the E.P.H.O.X that I joined 12 years ago was very different to the E.P.H.O.X that we've got today. Look, we were a bunch of savages, man. We got out of university and all we were doing was just crunching code without a band and high on caffeine. And we just broke shit left, right and centre. And we learned after about a year that this has got to be better, right? There's got to be a better way. The culmination of our stuff up was that we released a new version of one of the rich text editors we had at the time. And sure, we fixed some bugs, but then we also broke the bold button. It turns out that the rich text editor bold's used a heck of a lot. So in order to fix this problem, we brought on a Doug South. And what Doug South basically did was he was our guru for agile process. He was our guru for basically saying slow down and improve. Don't be racing out features and bug fixes all the time. So that was incredibly beneficial to us and showing the, our continuous integration builds and failures and Elmo pictures earlier. So that's something that's really stuck with us. And it's unfair to say that we're agile, but what it's instilled in us is this constant urge to improve and get better and make sure that we're making things better for ourselves and we're making things better for our clients. And that's the important stuff. So E.P.H.O.X, like most companies, it suffers from a share of problems, right? I mean, one clear thing would be that we're too afraid to let go of some products we've got. I won't get too much into some of the issues we've got. But what's important for our culture is that when we look at ourselves in the mirror, it's important for us, and we acknowledge, to not beat ourselves up all the time, but have this kind of idea of improvement. See it as a catalyst for doing something better, rather than seeing it as this is crap, it'll never get better. See it as here's opportunity, we can learn, we can do something better. So that's an important part of our culture and something that we'll keep on doing. Rightio. Oh, wear the other shoe. Look, respecting your colleagues in the office and across the ocean is paramount. They say that people don't quit jobs that they love, they quit people that they hate. So it's important to try to cultivate that respect and love the people that you work with. And on the same token, you've got to understand and respect the perspective of your clients, what they're doing with your products, how they're engaging with you as a company. That'll help you all get stronger as well and understand, where your customers come from and aid them across the journey as much as possible. So empathy is the cornerstone of enlightenment. So one way that we show trust for the people that we work with at E.P.H.O.X is that we've got a lot of flexibility. We showed that you could be productive and you could be responsible by having flex time, by having a lot of bandwidth for people to work from home. We feel that empowers people to sort of understand and appreciate the respect and take it in a good way and then really strive to do better for us. And look, this can yield negative results sometimes, right? You can get burnt. If you have that idea of saying everyone has a lot of flexibility, everyone has a lot of ability to work from home, you will get some lemons. But that's okay. The idea of saying everyone's on equal ground and everyone has this opportunity is far better than saying certain people have earned that right. Certain people have earned that respect to have that. It's better to say everyone's on equal footing, and if you give some people that abuse it, you find out pretty quickly, especially when you're in a small company, when people abuse that. So it's better to have that trust up front and show that love for people. So getting back on the WordPress meetups, we're denizens of very diverse WordPresses assembled at our office. So after the presentations, we all go up on the roof and drink beer and look at what used to be a beautiful view and now is the side of an apartment complex. But being up there we think is great because what we do is it's a chance for our developers to talk with end users of WordPress. It's a chance for them to talk with product managers and projects on WordPress. It's a chance to talk to integrators and get this idea about how do you use our products? How do you struggle? What do you want out of our products? We're big advocates for believing that the best ideas at E.P.H.O.X come from engineering. So as part of that process, we also get people who are new to our company, junior developers, to work in support as well as development. So again, building some sort of cool things, and while support can be a thankless task, they get to see how people struggle. They get to see how things fall over. They get to understand how could we have this better install? How could we work this way to make sure that we're making more people happy, adoption and retention in clients moves forward. So on that subject of good ideas coming from E.P.H.O.X itself, I work closely with the services team in our company where we take care of a lot of cloud infrastructure, where we build the cool features for the editor that can't exist in the browser. And so years ago, we started this team to sort of say, let's make the editor more than it can be in the browser. Let's take problems away from people from having to install and integrate and just make magic happen. And we sort of all serve it from the cloud. That whole idea did not come from above. That wasn't an executive mandate. That was a bunch of cool people in our office seeing an opportunity and us championing it. Now it's the biggest development team in the company. So, show people that you care and their ideas are good, champion those ideas, and then magic happens. So it's also important for us to look inward too, not just externally, and then look at what's going on with colleagues across the company. So putting ourselves in the shoes of other people in the company helps us understand the struggles that they encounter and basically work out process and projects to improve their lives, to improve their day-to-day world. So something we've been doing at E.P.H.O.X recently is we've been reviewing the online chat logs that we've been getting. And it's been brutal. When I say we, it's not just myself and product. It's like engineers have been getting interested in digging in. Salespeople, like everyone across the company has just been digging in and getting interested in the kind of feedback we've been getting. And we've been learning a lot of things, but one thing we've been learning is a massive amount of empathy for the people in our company who have to deal with this. So this is a really, really good example of the kind of thing that happens, right? So someone called Noah approached us with the openest swag, then insulted us, then proceeded to ask a question which really isn't a massive part of our business and is very easily Googleable. Then when we gave them the answer, they left with another insult and we never saw them again. It's, look, understanding what you're, having a healthy understanding of the shit that your co-workers go through just builds that respect and that empathy and helps people get along a lot better. Your support staff have to deal with a lot of unhappy chappies every day, so you don't have to, and so you're building the right product. Salespeople have to hear no all the time. All the time. It's rare that they hear a maybe, right? So no wonder they overpromise things and they get excited, and then you hear, these stories that we've got to build what in how many weeks. So understanding where they're coming from, and understanding the perspective they've got, that makes it far easier to work with them and have that empathy. Engineers are not protein units that can be plugged into any project, right? So like engineers have bandwidth, they have cognitive load. Trying to crunch engineers all the time and getting them to do 50 million things at once, that's bad shit. Crunches cause people to leave in bunches. So look, despite all these good intentions at E.P.H.O.X too, we do have a bit of an us and them mentality. You know, we're very globally distributed. We have silos of knowledge in certain companies. So there's that aspect of removal. And we're certainly working towards getting better at that. And we're constantly striving to improve in that capacity. But what we think is critical is that respect helps you get through those boundaries. If you're feeling that tension, but you've met the person face to face, you understand what they go through, that makes those conversations through those tension points and helps to break down that barrier a lot. So respect is critically important. Rightio, last but not least, be excited and help to make excitement. So this is basically the generation of fun, which is my favourite. So fun itself doesn't sound like it's got any business benefit, right? If you were to say to your boss, can I have $5,000 to take the team out for steaks and 10-pin bowling, he'd probably have some four-letter words for you. But fun is really what ties it all together. Fun is what ties the other values together and really makes them work. It's far easier to get someone to embrace good communication and far easier to get someone to have respect for their colleagues if they're having fun while they're doing it. So right off the bat, the easy stuff, toys. Toys are good, you should get them. At E.P.H.O.X, we've got a pool table. It's a great way for people to let off steam at the end of a long working day. In the US, in their breakout room, they've had various combinations of things like the foosball table, air hockey, things like that. The granddaddy of our toys, however, though, is our custom-built arcade cabinet. So it may surprise a lot of you, but software engineers love video games, myself included. So E.P.H.O.X has a beautiful little love story with video games, actually. So when I first joined E.P.H.O.X 12 years ago, they hadn't told me, but I found out on day one that they all used to play Unreal 3 during lunchtime. And I was in Nirvana, that was like heaven. And we've had games ever since. Games have been an institution on Fridays, and people are constantly talking about new games and sharing information about what they're playing. And so with that in mind, we decided to build an arcade cabinet. So not only was this a great team-building exercise of getting everyone involved and painting it, designing it, fitting it out on the inside, making the games work, deciding what games we'll play, but really what it's built is this beautiful sense of camaraderie, and the laughter and the excitement of everyone getting together and playing on this thing, it's nothing short of magical. And the arcade cabinet itself, has its personality of its own. So it's gone on several road trips. It's been at Yale before and had people at Yale check it out for reasons I forget, but which were fun. This is a picture of it being played on the rooftop by our admin staff getting into Street Fighter at the company's 15-year birthday. Speaking of which, this beautiful, beautiful thing happened. So when we first built the arcade cabinet, we got pretty hooked on fighting games. And I guess that's a vestige of our childhood, plus they were, shiny and bright. But what we didn't anticipate to happen was just how many people would rally behind this and how much of a workplace institution this thing would become. So it used to be that on Fridays after work, people would, have a beer and play some games and get excited. Then more people wanted to play this and get excited. Then friendly rivalries occurred. Then people were practicing out of home. Then we had leaderboards. Then I'd come in on the weekend to do some work and see people practicing. Like this thing took on a life of its own, and it was glorious. And what it did is it created friendships. It transcended the working environment and allowed people to have this really strong bond and like this urge and love to come into work. Not only are you building cool stuff, but you've got this thing, you've got this fun competition that was bubbling away in the corner. It turns out that incentivizing, and just providing an environment for your employees to digitally kick the shit out of each other is a really, really good idea. So I don't want to bang on about toys too much, but I know here at ThoughtWorks they're on the same page, right? Virtual reality is amazing, it's fun, it's not even so much of a game but an experience, but what is amazing about it beyond words is when you take it off, you've got so much to say and you've seen so much and you've been to places, man. You've seen worlds. And it's everyone taking their headset off and then talking to each other and having that weird, strong connection and kind of getting all excited about their experience and sharing what they did in that world. I built a fire out of, I built an igloo out of fire, or I nearly fell off this building and then thought I didn't, but I thought I did. Oh, I got to go to the toilet to change my pants. It's crazy, So even if you're not into video games, I highly recommend VR. My partner's parents came over from New Zealand a few weeks ago and they're 60 years old, wouldn't even know what a video game is. We put them in it and they loved it. We put them in some scary shit too. I'll show you videos later on if you're interested. So our routine events are really great too for building the fun. If you're not doing Christmas parties, you're doing it wrong. That's like the baseline. But above Christmas parties, you should make your own weird fun events too, your fun ritual events. So one thing that we do at E.P.H.O.X is every year over the Easter period, we have an Easter egg hunt. So we'll spend $50 whole on chocolate eggs, and a bunch of managers will come in overnight, hide them all over the office, and then people can come in the next day and then get their chocolate on. And what's really good about this is not only is it cheap, and not only is it easy to do, But what it does is, it doesn't jam fun down people's throats. And that's a really important thing about the whole fun aspect. What's fun to you might be agonizing to someone else. So some people get in, see eggs, and run across the office trying to find as many as they can, and they want a big nap by midday because they're all, sugar burnt out. Other people might see it, kind of have a whimsical smile, but then they don't have to do anything, right? Like it's just there, kind of fun, but we're not saying, go find eggs, go find eggs. So if you're going to be doing events that occur on frequency, we think that, I think anyway, that doing them in a way where you're not jamming fun down someone's throat is great. So have fun, but don't jam it down their throats. So speaking of being different, allowing people to celebrate, fun through their environment, unless you've got a real sleek office, make it your canvas. Have fun with your environment. Let people express themselves through their environment. Sharing is caring, right? So at E.P.H.O.X, we've had, over the years, we've had all types of different things, band posters, Nerf guns, action figures. So recently, photoshopping is a big thing. This is a picture of Ryan, the Pollard meme master's desk. As you can see to the pillar on the right, Ryan is a big, I don't know whether you're doing work hours or not, we can say you don't. But Ryan generates all these wonderful photoshops using the company, the people that work in the company, or company products. And look, it sounds kind of dumb, but what it does is it kind of gets people wrapped up in a kind of weird sense of humour you've got in the company. It brings them the India sense of humour, right? It's fantastic. This wasn't a picture of Damien's going away party, but it could well be. So looking again on that factor too, right, plaster with all kinds of weird things. In the US office, they have an old-timey phone booth that people can go into and make personalised calls, or, change their clothes into their Superman outfit to fight crime. But yeah, look, these zingers, right, fun things that just make it feel like your own weird home, they're a good idea. So speaking of making things your own fun world, moving from the physical realm to the digital realm, what we, or Ryan more directly, has done with Slack is nothing short of genius. So I've been talking about how it's a way that people can express themselves, and people express themselves in beautiful ways and use Slack as this beautiful tool. We've really made Slack our own. There's not another Slack that's like us. There's the E.P.H.O.X Slack, and then there's different Slacks. So what we have here is a range of custom emoticons and emojis that we put together, featuring, I guess, here as an example, Crikey, or we've got things like Dumpster Fire, and various characters from Doom. It's beautiful, right? It's a way where people can, really express themselves in a cute way. And Slack itself has even taken on this weird personality of its own. It's almost like its own employee. So when it starts up, it has bizarre jokes. That has jokes built into Slack itself if you know the right passwords. So this GIF of this wrap-up Birdman used to be used all the time, for whatever reason, right? Someone used it and then other people started using it to show excitement. And it started to escalate. That from that point on, it went to the stage where if anyone ever said nice barbecue, it automatically appears. So now people, if they want the GIF to appear, they'll just say nice barbecue, completely out of the context of any barbecue occurring. And so it's fun, but what it is it kind of has this weird cycle of inclusion. So someone new comes to the company and sees people saying nice barbecue all the time, and then sees this guy rubbing their hands, they don't know what the fuck's going on. But then they find out, and now they're in, right? Now they're in the inner circle and they're one of us, and someone else joins, and they say nice barbecue, and it has this beautiful kind of, self-fulfilling world. So Slack's it's just fantastic that way. So Birdman's even left the physical realm and kind of been plastered around the office, right? It's great. It's a beautiful place to be, and Slack just gives you something fun to smile at every day. There's always a new weird joke popping up.
Unfortunately, we have had people disable GIF animations in Slack.
We'll find a way to work it.
Yeah, we got people who use the IRC endpoint, and they said, the C is this magic, and all this.
We'll find ways to convert them then. If you haven't done it now, we'll do it in the future. So look, again, I don't want to bang on about Slack too much, but the last final beautiful thing about Slack is that we've got these channels that are in no way related to work. Here you can see there's an anime channel. It may not surprise you to know that there's a video game channel. But what we found too is, much like Street Fighter, people descend on these channels and start to kind of show their interest and kind of know each other, form bonds, have this great sense of community, and it just kind of helps that respect thing, it helps that camaraderie thing. These channels like anime and video game, they blow up on the weekends. People are using these to chat with all of their work friends now, like outside of work hours. Like, it's transcended work. It's awesome. And then it causes weird things like this to be created. Half the time I don't even know what the fuck I'm looking at on Slack anymore. But look, it always makes me laugh, even if in confusion. So artistic mediums, aside from things like Slack, we found cooking is incredibly good at E.P.H.O.X. Cooking's easy. Everyone's got to eat. Doing fun things around cooking is something that's great, right? Easy to tick that box. Around the office, often someone will say, I want to go to this place through Foodora. Before you know it, there's 10 other people who want to try that restaurant out. They're all talking over lunch, having a good time, getting to know each other, building that strong community. Randomly, people will get whole boxes of donuts delivered to the office just out of the kindness of their own heart, especially when there's some kind of festive season like Halloween, and we've got spiderweb style donuts being delivered. But the biggest food institution at E.P.H.O.X absolutely is our first Friday barbecues. So the first Friday of every month, our office is split up into several teams in Brisbane. One team has to cook for the office. So we've got a big, beautiful barbecue up on the roof. These people organise, and these are cross teams too, right? So we've got all different project teams, people cross-working teams, organised into different teams to just cook for the office. So it's something that celebrates every month. It's a way that everyone can get together, blow off steam, but also working together in a totally unwork-related way for some kind of joint goal is beautiful. And we think that that's returned great dividends. We did a survey on it recently, and people unanimously said, keep doing it. We were worried maybe people didn't want it to happen. We should keep doing it. We've done a lot of different themes too, that makes it fun. So this is a Mexican theme that we put together. We've done things like Japanese, Greek. One time Ryan, Ben and myself turned up at midnight to slow cook pork butt and brisket for 12 hours. My girlfriend thinks I'm crazy, and she's correct. So food as well on this subject. Something we found is on office outings, which you should all do. Office outings, we find a real easy win office outing that people love is to go to the Golden Pig Culinary Cooking School. So this is like a barbecue ratcheted up to about 10, and when we have people from other departments in the company in other countries turn up, then we find a great catalyst to get them together and work together to cook a delicious meal for everyone in a highly professional setting and learn something in the process. So speaking of out-of-office adventures, you should go on in them. It gives people a breathing room outside the office. It shows them how much you care about them and respect them. We've done a whole bunch of things. We've done various things over the years. We've done things like go-karting, laser skirmish, escape rooms. Lawn bowls is dirt cheap, and lawn bowls is loved by everyone. A lot of people just even chill out and don't lawn bowl, because again, you shouldn't jam fun down people's throats. But just getting out of the office and just even being in a different environment and not necessarily having to work on that really, really annoying problem, we found that's been great. So lastly, on the fun factor, when there are company milestones, we found celebrating those and letting people know that we really appreciate what they put in and all the great things that they've done. We found that that's been really effective. E.P.H.O.X has gone, you could say overboard, but again, it just shows how much we appreciate people. So on our 10-year anniversary, we flew everyone to Noosa to have 4 days on the beach with no real work involved at all. And then for the 15-year anniversary, everyone flew to Maui to again just have a basic beach holiday, which was great. People remember that. People really kind of understand that that's nice. Thank you for the time that I spent here, and thanks for showing me how much you care about me. Alrighty, so look, for us, it's all coming nicely together. We've got people who are more invested. We've got people who care more about their work, their colleagues, and the company future. And look, the dividends that come through it are that people are more productive and retention is higher if you give people a cool place to work and they feel happy and comfortable. Whether it's in Brisbane or Sweden, what we've found is that bringing people on board and having the skills that we need can be tough. So rich text editing is not easy. It's actually very deceptively complicated. So we build a great culture. What we find is we get people through the door, we get people caring enough to stick around, caring enough to learn the cool stuff, to share the cool stuff, and then become the masters that we need to be the masters of rich text editing. So there is an important note about this whole culture thing. It's worth mentioning, which is you need to begin as you mean to go on. If you're going to start something and embrace it, you've got to keep doing it. You can't start giving people lunch for free and then take it away. So this is an email conversation that I had with our CEO. It was jovially expressing thanks for an anniversary I had and saying, I'll keep sticking around as long as you've got cold beer. A few years ago, they talked about stopping having beer in Brisbane. And this email came up, right? And rightly so. And it wasn't for malicious reasons. Once the conversation occurred, the people in the US, the finance team, the heads of the finance team, just didn't realise beer was such an important part. But having that conversation and saying, you can't take those Fridays away. If you take the beer away, people will flood, right? It's important. Beer matters. We care about beer. So taking away love traditions will end in tragedy. You've got to keep going. If you start it, you've got to keep it going. So that's us. That's E.P.H.O.X. That's our culture. That's how we do things. Thank you very much for having me. We'll keep working hard and playing hard to ensure the bold button works for you where you find it online. So as my good friend George Wilson would say, that's the end of the talk. Look, I'm happy to take any questions or comments at all that you've got. For people at E.P.H.O.X. who want to know, where's my shit? You told me you were going to talk about X. You told me you were going to talk about Y. What I've done is some kind of sorry. is, come on, Link. I put together a slideshow of a lot of cool images that may have touched on what you want to talk about. So that can just keep it rolling. Any questions at all? Happy to answer them if I can.
Because you mentioned earlier about like obviously walking in each other's shoes. How do you make people from different backgrounds like walk in each other's shoes? For example, like the salespeople and the engineers, they're completely different like parts of the product, and it's a very different skill. You know, you can't really put them in each other's jobs kind of thing to swap for a day or something like that. It's really hard to do that. Like, how do you do that?
So I think the biggest part of that is talking, right? Just getting people to talk, making sure that when something occurs, that you have that freedom and that ability on Slack just to reach out and ask questions, right? And show interest and show that shared interest. If you make sure that you take the time to connect people, you know, and make them be interested or say, here's this project, we work with this person on this project, sort of talk through it. It's that communication that starts it, and then that interest sort of blossoms. And so sometimes you've got to be a bit of a catalyst to get people to talk. But that's really it. Getting people talking is where it happens. And you're right, you'll never be able to walk entirely in their shoes. But the idea is to learn more, to sort of get better understanding what they do, you know, and where they're coming from. And that continued communication and being kept in the loop helps. And there's no silver bullet, don't get me wrong, you're right, it's very different. People are from different, distinct worlds. You trying to interrupt me?
Just kind of...
Do you,
when
I don't know, I'm still in boss mode. Damien used to be my boss, and so every time now when he raises the hand, I think he's trying to slap me or get something interesting. So look, communication's key, right? That's a big part of it. So start with that and then really try to get people to communicate more, and that stuff starts to happen, right? Might need to get involved a bit, connect people, but the communication part's key.
The other thing that we found is that across cultural divides, so I've learned that Swedes are really, really terse by email. No matter how nice they are, like, to pick up the phone and talk to them in person. I guess the cold makes people expect less breath and less typing. So
I was going to say this is being recorded, but you don't work anymore anyway, so I'm going to offend, right?
So, but they are wonderful people. But and the important thing is picking up the phone, right? And that higher bandwidth communication. If you can't get on the plane, which is obviously, then picking up the phone can often help.
That face-to-face though really cements it though, right? So our team in Sweden, you know, just doing things like going on escape rooms with them, you know, and hanging out with them and having a few beers and going out for dinner and that kind of thing. You know, you talk, you learn not just kind of where their background is, but what are they interested in, right? And it's just forming those stronger bonds.
So one of the things is from E.P.H.O.X that we did all the time that we don't do with my new employer so much is using video conferencing. Right, there's just that automatically
does anyone want to do
pick up the phone, turn that on, but if you turn it just makes a huge difference. So we use Skype quite often, though I think towards the end of my stay at E.P.H.O.X, Slack has video conferencing built into it now.
We find the tool part's the easy part. You know, some people want to ping you on Skype, and a lot of us have Skype, right? Sorry? Sorry, right, I thought Ryan was sending me a secret message. Look, we find that stuff you crack through pretty quickly, right? So there's so many different tools now, and they're so easily accessible. So that's an easy one to reach. You got something, George?
Sorry, someone asked a question?
No.
I have a question about, I guess in terms of organising all these fun events and stuff, is there someone who kind of drives that, champions that? Because usually when something's everyone's responsibility, it becomes no one's responsibility. How is it kind of organically, just there's people who are kind of fans of certain events that drive the organisation of it? What
we find is that it ends up leaders show themselves. And you don't have to be a tech leader, right? Like just people who are going to lead something show themselves. So what we find is that if we start to ask around, a few people kind of volunteer, then you take those people and you talk more with them. And in that group, someone will rise, and that person will champion it. That's what we found. Sometimes, you know, with some barbecues, we find maybe, you know, it's kind of out of the course and we're thinking it's a week away, what are you guys doing? Then someone who has had success before will like jump in and we'll just start to help. So as long as people kind of care enough and have their ear to the ground, it just does work out. Yeah, it's quite organic.
I don't know, like as a manager, you kind of pick the people.
You
might something fun. There were certain people that you could just like. I know that person.
You're looking at him. He's probably looking at a E.P.H.O.X.
Is anyone using IntelliJ, the integrated development environment? Don't believe his lies. I don't want to tap into time too much. I know you've got a cool presentation to present too, so we can. One more.
Just have you had a situation where you've got someone I don't know, in the company who's a bit of a Debbie Downer when it comes to these events and starts to kind of drag the fun kind of emotion out of trying to do these activities, and it kind of disappears. You know, have you had that type of situation?
I think that there are some people who don't want to engage, and again, like that's all right? The worst thing you can do is try to like tell them to engage. So they might just sort of sit sidelines, right, or kind of maybe be a bit mopey. We've had that to a degree, but I think that as long as you've got enough people that care, and maybe this is kind of what Danny's getting at, finding the right people, right, or we've just found kind of the champions just rise, is they're able to bring everyone else up enough. So you're at some people kind of just like, I don't like anything, everything sucks, right? You know, and it's like, all right, cool, then you just do your thing, but like, that's all right. You can think everything sucks. We're going to do something cool, like you're engaged or you're not engaged, but you know, the fun's for there if you want to have the fun, and everyone else keep having fun. So I think the attitude is sort of not trying to focus on it too much, to sort of saying to someone, right, you know, they're cool, if they're like, oh, I'm cool, blah, 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 that's fine. I don't think we've ever had an experience, thankfully, maybe we're very lucky, where someone's been very vocal about, oh, I don't like this at all, you know, and I think maybe that's because we choose events where they don't like have to get involved, you know, where it's okay for them just to sort of chill out if they want to chill out. So we went go-karting. I'm terrified of driving, right? I don't drive a car, my family have all bad histories of car accidents. I've driven a car once and I did thousands of dollars worth of damage to it. I'm horrible, right? So with go-karting, I just didn't want to get involved. But I had a great time because I just kind of cheered everyone else on, right? Took a lot of photos, you know, and then we went out for food and drinks later. And like, you know, there was another person who didn't want to drive too, you know, and they were kind of a bit down about it, but I just kept them company and talked to them about stuff that they like. So.
There was a thread at one stage where, like, with barbecues, like, sometimes vegetarians don't want sausages. So you do have to be mindful that there's people that can be just down on it, but then you've got to be mindful of other people's kind of views, right? Other people don't eat pork, for instance.
But that comes to respecting in general, right?
Yeah,
the goal is really to just be around you, kind of knowing who you're working with, who you're dealing with, kind of what they're up to, what they think about, you know, having that place where you care about each other enough that you identify these things early, who's a good fit, who's not a good fit, who likes meat, who doesn't like meat, you know, and just kind of having an open dialogue. And anytime there's any conflict too, a big part of it is just having an open dialogue. Just, you know, what are your values, what are you up to, what do you think about this, you know, trying to nip it in the bud. We do like donuts at E.P.H.O.X. Cara Jordan.
So my company works next door to E.P.H.Ox's, so I have a very unique perspective of how they operate. And I actually also think that, as Jack said, building rich text editors is really complicated. And so the type of people who are employed by E.P.H.O.X are people who are really passionate and really clever, and they really care about what they do. And I think that as a result, if you can get excited about, people who can get excited about something can probably get excited about most things. And so I think that actually the culture of the type of people that they hire and the type of brands that they hire also probably lends itself to going, we're also going to do this other thing together, and because they're also vested in what they do, even people who it's not necessarily their jam to go do the extroverted thing, they'll actually still come along and they'll appreciate that they're there and they're being included and they're not bullied and pushed. They can do it their own way. So I think that it really starts a lot with hiring the right people as well, which is lovely.
Yeah, look, hiring is a big part of it. I had stuff on hiring. I had a lot of stuff, but you know, you got to murder your darlings. But yeah, Cara's absolutely right. Cara will write my follow-up talk. So
are you mainly saying that because you've hired a lot of E.P.H.Oxians?
Alrighty.
Cool.
Thank you very much for your time. Thanks for being back there. Shit, I broke his stuff.